Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Lili Lisdawati binti Hamim. My matric number 23DIB21F1050.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Shamira binti Muhammad. My matric number 23DIB21F1078.
So today our group will present about Cimb Bank and RHB Bank in profitability ratio in financial ratio. So I will explain about Cimb Islamic Bank. Cimb Group is a leading focused Asian bank and one of the region's foremost corporate advisor. It is also a world leader in Islamic finance. The group is headquartered in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and offers consumer banking, commercial banking, investment banking, Islamic banking, and asset management product and service. So it is the fifth largest bank group by asset in ASEAN, and as the end of the December 2022 had around 30,000 staff and over 2 million customers that they have.
Firstly, I want to talk about RHB Islamic Bank background. Established in 2005, RHB Islamic Bank Berhad is the first full-fledged Malaysia Islamic bank that has matured from an Islamic banking window operation. It is the primary driver of the Sharia business for the RHB Banking Group, the fourth largest banking group in the country in terms of asset. RHB Banking Group is a multinational regional financial service provider that is committed to delivering complete solution to customer through different segment offerings.
Okay, now I will explain about return on asset in Cimb Bank. Okay, return on asset is a metric that indicates a company profitability in relation to its total assets. So, return on asset can be used by management, analysis, and investor to determine whether a company use its assets efficiently to generate a profit. So, in 2019, Cimb got a 0.77%, and in 2020 Cimb got a 0.43%, and when we compare that 2019 and 2020, we know in 2018 they have a greater return on asset. So for RHB Islamic Bank, in 2019 they got a 0.94%, and in 2020 they got 0.01%, and when we compare between 2019 and 2020, we got 2019 got a higher more than 2020. So when we compare with Cimb Bank and RHB Bank, we know that RHB Islamic Bank got a more return on asset more than Cimb Bank in 2019. Also in 2020, which is 0.94% and 0.51%. Okay, now we move to the return on equity. Return on equity is considered a gauge of a corporation profitability and how efficient it is in generating profits. The higher the return on equity, the more efficient a company management is generating income and growth from its equity financing. Okay, in 2019, Cimb Bank got a 12.89%, and in 2020 CIMB Bank got 7.14%. When we compare that 2019 and 2020, we got 2019 they got a higher return on equity more than 2020. Okay, we move to the RHB Islamic Bank first. RHB Islamic Bank. So in 2019, RHB Islamic Bank got a 15.09%, and then in 2020 they got a 8.73%. And when we compare in 2 years, we got that 2019 they got a higher return on equity, better than 2020. So when we compare to CIMB and RHB Bank on the return on equity, I think we got that RHB is a more than efficient to operating their profits in 2018, which is 15.09% in 2019, and 2020 also RHB got a better return on equity. Okay, now we move to the net financing margin. Okay, in finance, net financing margin is a measure of the difference between financing paid in they receive in financing just for the total amount of they generate income from financing asset held by the bank. So in Islamic, we do not have interest. So we move to the net financing margin CIMB Bank. For 2019 we got 16%, and 2020 we got a 13%. So when we compare in 2019 and 2020, we got the 2019 get a more net financing margin more than 2020. It also occur at RHB net financing margin, because we can see in 2019 they got 20.52%, and then 2020 they got a 15.57%. So in 2019 they got a higher more than 2020, which is 20.52%. So when we compare between the CIMB Islamic Bank and RHB Islamic Bank, we can see that RHB get a more net financing margin in 2018, also in 2020. Okay, that's all from me. So I will pass the presentation to Nur Shamira.
Next is non-financing income margin. Firstly, non-financing income margin for CIMB Islamic Bank is 2019 is 16%, and for 2020 is 11%. That show non-financing income margin for CIMB Islamic Bank in 2019 is more than 2020. Secondly, non-financing income margin for RHB Islamic Bank in 2019 is 20.48, and for 2020 is 13.28. That show non-financing income margin for RHB Islamic Bank in 2019 is more than 2020. For non-financing income between CIMB Islamic Bank and RHB Islamic Bank shows positive result. However, in terms of performance comparison between CIMB Islamic Bank and RHB Islamic Bank, RHB Islamic Bank is better than Cimb Islamic Bank. Islamic Bank is better than Cimb Islamic Bank. Alright, for operating margin ratio, the operating margin measure how much profit a company makes on a dollar of sale after paying for variable costs of products such as wages and raw material, but before paying interest or tax, it is calculated by dividing a company operating income by its net sale. Higher ratio are generally better, illustrating the company is efficient in its operation and is good at turning sale into profit. Talk about operating margin ratio for Cimb Islamic Bank in 2019 is 22.14% and for 2020 is 60.47%. That show operating margin ratio for Cimb Islamic Bank in 2019 is more than 2020. Secondly, operating margin ratio for RHB Islamic Bank in 2019 is 22.68% and for 2020 is 15.69%. That show in 2019 operating margin ratio more than 2020. It shows that RHB Islamic Bank and Cimb Islamic Bank can generate more 1.15 operating margin ratio in 2019 and 2020. The last is conclusion. Cimb is more focused on managing their profit in 2019 because we found from asset return, equity return, net financing margin, non-financing income margin, and operating margin ratio, they have a higher return value than in 2020. But for RHB Bank, return in managing profit also increased in 2019 compared 2020. We can assume that in 2020, Malaysia will be attacked by the contagion of COVID-19. Then there will be a MCO that cannot cause the people not to work. This cause people to withdraw money deposit in their banks, and automatically banks lost capital through depositor in 2020 for Cimb Bank and RHB Bank. Next, when we compare between Cimb Bank and RHB Bank, we find that RHB Bank increased their return more in 2019 and 2020. This means that Cimb is less in increasing their return in 2019 and 2020. Cimb Bank operating margin ratio increased by 1% compared to RHB in the year 2020.